right now, you are where you are, you're giving 60% when you have 120 in you. Why? Because you never made a decision. There's those of you in this room, you already there. Your problem is some stuff you don't want to give up to go. Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you, when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it.
Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown. It's Tuesday. You guys know the drill. It's CFB Prime. But I'm talking my team, BC Eagles, with my guy who I meet in the booth every Saturday at Eagles Daily. My guy, Brett. How we doing, buddy? How we doing tonight?
Pretty good, coming off a win, so definitely am not going to complain about that. Hasn't been ideal, but, you know, we're chilling in the booth, having some fun, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. I appreciate you coming on. I know you got a busy schedule. You got the site going on, but tell the people where they can find your work.
Yeah, so eaglesdaily.com. We're also on Twitter at eaglesdailybc, and then Instagram. We're just kind of getting it going. Same handle, eaglesdailybc, and then my handle is Brett Ryder. Last E is a 3. So look me up, look the site up, check us out.
He does great work, man, and this guy's grinding. Not only is he covering BC football, but it's, hockey, soccer, baseball, the whole spiel. My man's got you covered. So if you're an Eagles fan, you want to hit that button, subscribe to Eagles Daily, and you get that content.
Check us out.
That's right. Well, we're gonna talk about the Eagles and what's going on. The Cavaliers rolled into Chestnut Hill for an ACC battle with the BC Eagles, and what was supposed to be a somewhat easy BC bounce back game, but it ended up being a dogfight. Brett, why has BC seemed to start slow this season? I mean, it's week 6. Are we going to go down and give them a pass, or what's the deal here?
No, we cannot give them a pass. I mean, Hafley talked about it in the press conference. I mean, he's like, we got to stop calling conservative plays and be more aggressive. My thing is this. Makes sense. That's what you should be doing. Absolutely. But why are you telling us this in week 6? Like, why didn't you start thinking about that after FSU when it worked, when Louis Bond scored a touchdown, and then you come out against, what was it, Louisville, and just like laid an absolute egg?
Yeah.
And same with like, it's crazy, bro. It's the same thing every week. Like the same 3 and out, they go down, they score. 3 and out, they go down and score. Every single game besides Holy Cross, so every single FBS game, they've been in a 14-point hole at some point of the game. Typically, it's been in the beginning of the games. I mean, NIU, it was like the fourth quarter they were in a 14-point hole. But they keep doing this to themselves. They have to claw out of it. Luckily, they were able to this week. Usually, they don't.
Yeah, I think that I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think they are a top 5 team in points scored in the fourth quarter in all college football. They don't seem to reach their pinnacle, their swag, get on their horse and ride until somewhere coming out of the second half. Like, they'll flash something in the end of the second quarter or somewhere in the middle there. And if they stay close and their defense doesn't squander something like they did this week, at the end, last second Hail Mary, then they got to come out of it, and they come out. They somehow find their rhythm, their groove in the second half. But there's so many questions about things that have happened with the offense and the defense, and we're gonna go down that road.
Right.
But I'd like to see him get out to a hot start. I mentioned it, and we'll get to it later on. But like you said, every game they're down. NIU, it wasn't as many points. I think NIU nobody scored in that game till mid-second quarter, but NIU scored first. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We scored first against Florida State, but I think that was the only game all year where we put points on the board first. You can't have that, especially when Florida State's the only ranked team you're facing. You know what I mean? You should be able to put points on the board before Holy Cross. You should be able to put points on the board against Virginia with a quarterback that's coming off being injured. You should be able to put the points on the board first, and they haven't been able to do that. I need something to change. I mentioned Virginia. I mentioned the QB coming off, an injury. They rolled out, Tony Muskett over Anthony.
Great name, by the way. Great
Muskett.
name.
That's a football name,
Great.
right? That's the name right there. Muskett drove Virginia down the field for an opening score. And this is what I'm talking about. They've allowed the score first time every game except for FSU, which doesn't bear well with the defensive-minded coach. But how does Hafley and the Eagles right this seem to be broken ship?
I mean, that's a loaded question, right? Because it's like how many times have they got the ball first and gone 3 and out, and then their defense goes on the field and gives up a touchdown? So I mean, it's like both sides, but sure. I mean, when you're a defensive-minded coach, like you should be able to at least have that unlocked. We talked about it earlier. The defensive line had 5 or 6 sacks in this game. That's the first time they've shown up all year. I get it, he's a defensive back coach, but guess what? The secondary has been awful this year. outside of Elijah Jones, you got to look at you got to play to your strengths, and I get that, but they don't in terms of from a defensive perspective, they don't have any sort of strength. They don't have any sort of identity. Their best defensive player from last year as a Rock Boob recorded his first sack. And I remember saying that to you the other day. I double checked. I'm like, I think that's his first sack.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. I couldn't fathom that he's supposed to be the star of your defense. That's some things that need to change. They need the guys, right? They need someone who's going to step up and be a guy who's actually going to be a linchpin of the defense. They don't have that right now. Elijah Jones is doing his best bet, but when you have one of 11 players out there who's actually putting it all into it, that's tough. That's tough. And when you're getting no pressure up front, it's tough. Their teams are running against us at will.
Yes. It's sad that we're like paper mache out there. You know what I mean? And I don't understand why with guys like Blackwell and Arnold and Salah and Neto, right? You should be able to stuff the run, and you should be able to put pressure on the QB. I love that you said identity, because I said it in my very first piece after game 1. They're struggling to find an identity on both sides of the ball. Castellanos is their identity on the offensive side, okay? And it seems we're going to touch on it that Bond and Robichaud seem to be their identity as well on the offensive side of the ball. Jones, and I guess I'm going to say Cam Arnold are the identity on that defense, but Cam kind of pulls Katy Perry's, right? He's hot one week and then he's cold the next week. He David Copperfield, he disappears. He's takes a quarter or 2 off, and then he shows up in the fourth. That's one thing I've noticed. In the fourth quarter, my man's nails. But the first 3 quarters, he might just kind of be out there doing his own thing. They need to in this break. They're not home. I understand. It's Army, and then it's
bye.
Ben is bye.
I think it's the bye.
Army, those you're on the road. You get the bye. Between those 2 games, they need to figure it out. They gotta figure out who's going to be the voice, who's going to be the leader on the defensive side of the ball. I'd like to see Mahogany just step up. You're stepping up with your play, right? You eliminated the penalties and stuff, but be a voice on that side. You're the guy, right? Castellanos is the leader because he's the QB, but he's only played a couple of games since high school. You got to be that voice and that presence, there. So identity, huge. Elijah Jones has been cooking. And we heard all spring, and it rumbled through the fall that it was supposed to be Amari, supposed to be the guy, right? And I don't know if he's filled in those blanks there, but Elijah Jones has filled in those blanks. We've seen flashes from Cheeks as well, right? But in his last 2 weeks, it seems like Cheeks has kind of come back to reality, and he hasn't been playing out of his mind. Identity, I love it. They need to find that identity, and they need to bounce back defensively, because that helps you offensively.
Well, 2 things you said too. Elijah Jones, and then you said maybe Cam Arnold. That's the problem, is that
Yeah.
Your second best player that you're going to talk about, you're like,
Maybe.
I guess if I had to pick one,
Yeah.
I would pick Cam Arnold because he doesn't screw up as much, and because like sometimes he does things and he's noticeable. That's a problem, especially
Yes.
when you look at their front seven, like Chris Banks, Cam Horsley. Like they have some big dudes up at D tackle, nose tackle, whatever you want to call it. They're not getting the pushes up front. Chris Banks had a sack last game, and I honestly forgot that he was even on the team. Yeah, I forgot.
First,
like,
he had his first sack of the year, and he only has one tackle for loss.
I'm like, bro, I thought he graduated. Like, did they just mispronounce? Like, that's just a different 13, and they said Chris Banks? Because I haven't seen, dude. I haven't seen him. Cam Horsley, we hear about Cam Horsley every single spring, right? They always talk about Cam Horsley since he came into camp, that he was going to be this big force up the middle. He was going to be great. Haven't really seen much of him. And then, like we've said, the two DNs, we've always had like a Matthias Kiwanuka. We had Zach Allen. We've always had like a DN who's been great. We're supposed to have two. We're supposed to have two premier DNs. Neither one of them are getting pushed. Neither one of them are getting off the edge. But I think it all comes back to collectively, like, what are teams doing against us? They're running the ball because they can run the ball. Therefore, our secondary is not really able to, like, get turnovers either, because a lot of teams aren't having the opportunity to really have to have a pass-heavy offense. The offensive teams that we play against love us because they're able to be so balanced with throwing and running the ball with ease. You don't really come into a game where you're like, well, the running game shut down. Looks like we're just like chucking it all over the place. Or can't really get the passing game, so we're running it today. Teams are so balanced against us, and therefore that's where you're getting these crazy stats from. But it comes back to it, like who's the guy, like who is stepping up. We don't really have that right now.
No. And as you were speaking about it, it came to my head, maybe, and it's a possibility, maybe these guys on the end aren't playing bad, but because we have no inside pressure out of your interior defensive guys or your linebackers, that they can just run it up the gut because those guys on the outside can't even get to them at time. And unfortunately, we faced a lot of mobile QBs in these last 5 games. What it was, Lombardi's is mobile. Obviously, Jordan Travis is mobile. The gentleman out of Holy Cross is very mobile, right?
Very mobile.
Yeah, and Musket was mobile in this game. So not an excuse, just a couple things I'm throwing out there that maybe it's the reason. I would like to see Elijah Jones be able to play that nickel position, which he's known to play before, but he can't because every other secondary DB has been suspect this year. Well, if you could have guys like Amari step up and Cheeks step up, I know they had Cheeks in the nickel back position for a while there, first 2 games of the season, but if they could step up covering guys one-on-one, and you could put Elijah in the slot where he can get downhill and get pressure as well, now you're starting to change the dynamic of your defense, because now you can put pressure on from not only the front 7, but a guy that can come in off the slot. You can line him up behind a linebacker. You can scheme him in. We don't have those options right now. So
no, and one thing that I saw in the doc here was Cole Batson. It says he has 9 targets and 8 receptions against them. I'm like, bro, like I could do that too.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Like, I don't know what's going on here. He was decent last year too, was he not? Like, am I crazy? Like,
no, he was decent last year.
He was great, right?
It wasn't an 85% reception rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just gross. You throw it to him, you're going to catch the ball. 9 times out of 10, that dude's catching the ball. You brought it up. So Mom, I got these 2 here. We're going to talk defense and 2 questions. I'm going to squeeze it into 1, though. Talking defense, 163 yards per game on the ground. 400 yards of offense per game. It's got to change, right? Guys like Donovan and Cam, they've been the leaders for this defense. Lately, Donovan has, whereas where's Salah, right? He's got a 60.4 PFF pressure grade. This is supposed to be your number 1 edge guy. Julian Blackwell, I love him. Coming out of high school, he was a dude. All he was known for was getting downhill. He's got a 32.2 PFF tackle grade. Gross. And then Neto, who does have 2 tackles for loss and 2 sacks on the year, that man's got a 37.3 PFF tackle grade. Those are all pedestrian numbers. I could go down to your local community college, scoop a guy, put him on the field, and he can give me numbers like that. Like, those things need to change. Hafley's a DB guy. Outside of Jones, and for me, it's surprising John Pupil in the secondary, it's been a problem, right? Jackson, 18 targets, 12 receptions. Jalen Cheeks, 13 targets, 7 receptions. You mentioned Batson, 9 targets, 8 receptions. What's going on here? Bigger wide receivers like Malachi Fields, they're killing the Eagles. Talk to me.
I don't know, because it's always been this running joke. Like, think about like the past couple recruiting classes when we get like 17 DBs and everyone's like, are we just going to fill the defense full of DBs? And it's always been a joke. And now it's like year four. Wow, it's year 4, right?
Yeah.
Year 4. And we don't really have a lot of DBs that can play, nor do we have DBs that have, like, I can't think of any DBs that have been necessarily like groomed, like developed under him.
No,
like,
not at all. Not
like Elijah
fine.
Jones. Elijah Jones was an Adazio recruit. John Pupil is a graduate transfer from Dartmouth.
Yes.
I mean, Cheeks, sure, but like
Right.
he's kind of getting like beat up.
Yeah.
They don't really have like they haven't like developed, and that was like the whole thing is like we're gonna have good DBs, and it's weird too, right? Because under Adazio was for some whatever reason, do not know why, he was phenomenal at developing DBs. Like you had Justin Simmons, you had John Johnson, you go down the list, Isaac Yayadome, all these guys that he developed under his program that were DB guys. Now you bring in a DB guy, and we just like don't have DBs. Lucas Dennis, who was actually my favorite of all of them, but I don't get it. I don't understand. I always think about last year or 2 years ago when they had that. Remember that recruit that they flipped from Florida. He was like a 4-star recruit. They flipped him. He came here and he just never saw the field. And now he's playing some like FCS school or something, or some like lower FBS. But it's like I don't understand. Are they just like not able? Like, does he just not understand talent? Like, does he not scout high school talent correctly? I don't know. I don't get it. I certainly can't figure it out for the life of me. What's going on? What the disconnect is for that? Because, like you said, he's a defensive guy, he's a DB guy. Like that should be his bread. Our secondary should be just nails every single year. But like all the people and you could say like, yeah, we lost a lot of people. But here's the thing. Justa Berry was an Adazio guy. Jason Maitre was an Adazio. Like these guys were Adazio guys. These
are his guys this year. These are his dudes. You know, his recruits, his players, and we're looking at a bad product. And you said it to me on Saturday. Dude, in the NFL, he coached Revis. He coached Sherman. He can't coach up Amari. He can't coach up Jalen Cheeks. Like, come on, man. This is what you made your living on. Before you were a head coach, this is what you did.
And it's not like he didn't bring anyone in, because he brought in Kari Johnson, the kid from Arkansas, who, by the way, it was you that pointed out he's little. I did not know how little he is. He's small. Because remember, I was like, dude, why don't they just play him? You're like, dude, he's small. I'm like, like he's what, 5? He's
5'8", I think, right? 5'9". Yeah. That's you have to have elite hands or elite speed to get on the field at that size. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Look at Forbes. Forbes is what, 5'9", 5'10" on a good day with big shoes, but my man can take it to the crib 7 times a year. That's going to get you looked at by any defensive coach. Being 5'9" and just being a guy who can cover, I don't know if that's going to get you on the field. You know, yes, he comes with SEC talent and pedigree, and he's gone against them, and he had some juice in some of those games with Arkansas.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just that height factor, especially with the receivers in the ACC. They're all big fellas now.
Yeah.
I think you're at a disadvantage playing them, you know.
Can we get some of that size real quick?
Please. Please.
I like receiver-wise, love our receivers. I think like Lewis Bond, the whole rest of them are great. Can we please just get one fun guy who's like 6'6", who looks like he should be
6'4". 6'4" is fine.
I just think it would be fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Try it out. Give it a
Imagine you
shot.
had Johnny Wilson right now with Castellanos.
Yeah,
Just go,
be
hey,
fun.
John Castellanos, go roll out and just throw it in the corner.
Jump.
Yeah, I got you.
Jump.
You know what I mean? Speaking of Castellanos, he's been one of the few bright spots on the offense outside of Bond and Griffin. It's almost like the Eagles are never out of any game with the athleticism that Castellanos brings, right? Each week, he seems to be fine-tuning his passing abilities, but he still has trouble with the deep ball. And I mentioned this to you and Kevin on Saturday. Why are receivers running 30-yard outs and wheel routes when your QB has trouble throwing the deep ball? Is that a talent issue or is that a coaching issue?
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Like how can we be a couple of goobers up in the box and we know that?
Right.
But these dudes are getting paid six-figure salaries and have been devoting their entire life to this and they don't. I don't get it. Because it just seems like such an easy fix, especially with like the personnel that they do have at receiver.
Speed.
Yeah. Yeah. So why are you just I don't get it. Like their possession after the catch type receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it again. You saw the first touchdown against Florida State when Lewis Bond had a little crossed over the middle and just took off. Same with O'Keefe, which
Right.
I don't know if you saw, but he's back. He's not,
He's
thank
probably gonna
God.
miss this week, but he seems to be in good spirits, good health. He's back.
Thank
Hey,
God.
and the fact that Hafley said
Thank
that all he
God.
kept asking about was, "How's the team? How's this guy, bro?"
What
Good
an
for
amazing
him.
kid.
Yeah,
What an amazing kid. I love that.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's the type of kid I want to root for. But yeah, I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing? Like,
right.
you don't like this brings it back to it, right? We don't have 6'4" receivers that you could just throw the ball down to. Like, we have possession guys that are quick, shifty, and speedy.
Mhm.
We had that last year too. But the thing is like I feel like maybe the coaching staff has like PTSD and they think that everyone should just do like Zay Flowers things. So they think that everyone should be able to run 30-yard outs and be
He's a
able just to be
unicorn, man.
shifty.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't get it. I
Yeah.
don't understand, but I think that's what happens when you promote their offensive coordinator. He was promoted to
In-house.
offensive coordinator. Yeah, I mean, off of 3-19, where realistically the whole staff should have been fired, but that's a whole nother story.
For
But
another
yeah,
day. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I'm with you. I agree. Like you said, speed, right? We have speed.
a lot of it.
O'Keefe, Bond, Griffin, right? Tomlin, like all of them guys have speed, up possession.
Hey, I always forget about him. Thank you for saying that.
Tomlin, they don't play him.
Why not?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Every time they play him, he does something,
Mhm.
and then they're like, "Okay, you got your one catch for 13 yards." Go. What? I don't get it. He can play. Let him play.
He was Zay's guy last year. Him and Zay bonded well together, dude. I mean, I'm not saying he's Zay. He plays the same position. I get that he's the backup to O'Keefe, but why can't we do it? Trips right, dude. With Griffin, O'Keefe, and Bond, bro. Good luck trying to figure out which guy's going to smoke you first off the line, right? Like,
right.
But this is me and you, a bunch of knuckleheads, can figure something out like this. But the guys making that big paycheck in that bag, they don't want to change nothing. Well, you don't want to change nothing, and unfortunately, Hafley, I love you, bro. I think you're a great coach, great dude.
Great guy.
The writing on the wall might be evident very soon if you don't want to, change to the times. Zay Flowers was dominant for BC last season, and everybody knew that there would be a void. Hence why they went out and got O'Keefe in the portal, right? But you get guys like Bond and Lewis Griffin have stepped up. What are your thoughts on the wide receiver room and Bond's development? Because I think it's been phenomenal.
I think Bond himself has been probably the funnest story to follow. Yeah. I didn't realize this till like probably about a week ago because I was looking. I think we've all known he was here. Like, it's not someone who just came out of nowhere and like, who is this kid? But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I know that he's been on the team, but like, where did he come from? Who is he? What has he done in the past couple of years? He was he was recruited as a running back. He wasn't
Yes.
even a receiver. Like he was a
Yes.
running back. They converted him to receiver. You know, he had a couple catches 2 years ago, a couple catches last year. And my God, he has just exploded. And the intangibles on this kid
Mm-hmm.
is unreal, right? The past 2 weeks in the press conference, he has said something along the lines of
Can't guard me.
there's no one in college football that can cover me one-on-one. I have never seen, like, I can't tell you the last time I've seen a Boston College player talk
Swag.
that shit and be able
Yes.
to back it up. Like, back it the fuck
Yes.
up, too. Like, we've seen it in the past with players who, like, say something and then they just get clowned on the next week, whatever. You know, and Zay Flowers I feel like Zay was like very humble. Like
Yeah.
Zay just did his thing. But I love this for this kid. Like
Yes.
I love the fact that he has like a little attitude, a little spunk, a little swag. Like he's backing it up, right? Like he's going out there, and then week after week, another touchdown this week up a bubble screen, and he just takes off. Zoop, see ya. So I think that that's probably been the funnest storyline of the season. Castellanos has been another great one.
Yeah.
But I think after week one of watching Castellanos, you knew that there was something there. And I think in regards to the season as a whole, regardless what happens, I think we have two things that we can say definitively for the next couple of years is that we have a quarterback and we have a wide receiver one. So I mean, there's your base right there. Now we just need the defense to not have I guess, number two, Cam Arnold.
Yeah. I've been saying for a while, I've been telling KT and my producer that Thomas Castellanos, not only does he change, the landscape of BC on the field, he changes the landscape of BC in the recruiting department because now receivers who are those twitchy guys, who are those maybe been labeled like a gadget kid, right? You know what I mean? Comes into BC knowing this is a fit for me. I got an athletic QB as long as I can, like Lewis Bond. I run a route, but I can get off the route and I can, improvise. And I know he's going to find me. Bond says that he tells Castellanos every time, if you can't find the one, I'm open.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm your guy. I'll be there. And you can
I
see
love
that
that.
connection. Yeah, exactly. You can see that connection is there. You mentioned the swag, bro. I love the swag. On that bubble screen, at the 10-yard line, my man put the foot out, dragged the toe, and started slowing down. And it started looking like, got him. You know what I mean? And like, they need something like that. Like, all right, Castellanos got the flag for the penalty for taunting. If they would have fined him, I would have paid the damn fine. You know what I mean? Like, because it's in the moment. You know that he's got that juice. It means a lot to him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all right, he taunted, big deal. But that means that this kid's all in. Phil would have never done that.
No.
Phil would probably grab his towel and wiped his face in his tears and went, you know what I mean, went back to the sideline. Like, no,
Yeah.
I think this kid's got that intangible that a lot of people don't have.
I love that just attitude, that change. I think that that's something that they haven't had in a lot of years. I think that they've always historically kind of been like that buttoned up type of school. And I don't think that they've really been allowed to act the way
Yeah.
that they kind of are doing now. I love it. I think it's a great change. I don't know if the coaching staff necessarily loves it. I don't think they like it. But like, what are you gonna do? You know,
You got to let it go now.
you have to, man. Especially when you got. I mean, it's personality.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a little. Let's have a little personality. Let's have a little fun. But the thing is, now is they need to start winning.
Yeah.
Or they're,
Yeah.
then you can do whatever you want. You can do the jerk off motion. You can slide stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
You can. I'll Millie rock in the press box if that's what it.
Yeah, I'll do it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? Oh man! All right, I'm gonna hit you before we end this off. I'm gonna hit you with 5 rapid fire questions before we close this out. You ready, Brett?
Mm-hmm.
If Halfley catches the axe this year, give me 2 names that you would like to see brought in.
Manny Diaz and Will Blackman.
Yeah, baby. I love it. I'm right there with you. I know our guy Kevin had brought up, Flores because he's a BC guy.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Right.
That was the first time I heard that the other day. I was cool with that.
I'm cool with that, but
yeah.
I like Blackman for the simple fact he played both sides of the ball. He was a dog, right? And he already said, "You put me in a box, you make me a coach. I'm coming like Dion's coming, so you better be
Yeah.
ready for it." I'm cool with that, bro. This place needs a
Please.
shakeup. You know what I mean?
Please.
And
Please.
Manny Diaz is that physical, snot-nosed football. You can't go wrong with that either. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there. All right. Over under 5 wins.
I'll go over. Just
Okay.
I'm a fan, but
Yeah.
my heart says under, but I'm gonna say over.
Yeah.
Just I want to go on the record being positive.
Yeah, I've been saying I think we could get. I've been saying it since the beginning of the year, knowing we were going to have some difficulties. Okay, I've been saying 6. I know that the Heights, the hometown, Chestnut Hill, the faithful, they want 7 because they've had enough of everything else. But if for some reason they scoot into, I don't give a shit if it's the Orange Peel Bowl, right? I'm cool because it's showing progress, right?
The macandcheese.com bowl,
Yeah,
baby.
I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? The cartrader.com bowl, I don't give a shit, dude. Give me a bowl. As long as it says bowl at the end, it could say the toilet bowl. I don't care. We're in one. Is Christian Mahogany a first round pick?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not yet. He's a day 2.
I had all the hype and expectations for it. The discipline, and I don't mean off field, I'm talking on field. Like, I didn't expect him to have as many penalties as he's had this year. I think he's got 2 false start penalties already. For a dude who's supposed to be the leader, a dude that we thought was going to come in there and just take this offensive line by the horns. And he's got that grit and that grime, and I love it about him. And you can see it on plays.
Yeah.
When it comes to run plays, he dominates. But it seems in pass pro this year, he's been a little bit off.
Yeah, shaky. Yeah, I agree. But
he's close.
Second round pick.
He's early second round. If he turns it on down the stretch, he might
Then
mess
he's the
around
first round.
and fall in at the end of the first round.
Agreed.
All right. Current BC Eagles defensive MVP.
You really gonna do me like that, huh? Elijah Jones.
Yeah.
Gotta be. It has
It
to be, right? Like
Yeah.
that's gotta be the consensus, right?
Yeah, it has to be. If not, then you ain't
guess-
watching the games.
I guess maybe Cam Arnold. That's the new thing, dude.
Yeah.
That's the new thing, bro. Maybe Cam Arnold.
Maybe.
Kinda.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's gross, but and then we're gonna round it out. This last rapid fire. Thomas Castellanos is
The fucking man.
Yeah, I love it. I was gonna go with special, but your answer was even better. My guy, Brett, I appreciate you. Every weekend when we get to talk football, especially BC, it's always a pleasure. Once again, before we wrap it up, tell the people at home where they can find your work.
EaglesDaily.com, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, shit, look us up on TikTok if you really feel like it. Eagles Daily BC. You can find us on there and give me a shout out, please. Thank you for having me on too, bro. It was awesome. And hopefully we can, have better days ahead of us too.
Absolutely. I'm Nino Brown. That's Brett Ryder. Last E's a 3. This is CFB Prime. Go BC.